So, you know, I've been trying to decide what to paint today still since I woke up. And I've run back and forth to the house and get different canvases, and I'm not sure how you're doing, man. And just not positive. I think what I came up with I want to try to do is a rainstorm of some sort that's I've seen in the West. One of my favorite things is the moods that that smell of rain when it's coming in the West. And I love it. It's one of my favorite things, the smell of the rain coming in. So I'm going to try to do. So I was listening to this Gorecki Symphony No. 3 this morning, and it just made me want to do a rainy painting after. I went out and looked for turkeys this morning. Wait a minute. I didn't want to shoot anything. So. But I just, I don't know how this is going to work. So you're going to see a little bit of pain coming from this. But it's actually part of the process of painting. You got to be a little uncomfortable, and you got to learn to be. And you got to be, there's a lot of ambiguous stuff that happens during painting. You want to define it as much as you can, decide what you're defining, what you want to do, for instance, the storm, and then I want to have some light behind that storm. Maybe possibly, I think it's kitsch. I don't like to do stuff like lightning, but I might try it. So I had this white thread that I found this morning. I was laying in all the different shapes, trying to decide what I was going to do with lightning. Then I thought maybe I won't do that. I'm just not really positive what I'm doing. So I picked a palette. If I'm painting, it looks like I'm mad, and I'm not. I just am thinking, because my kids always used to say, well, why do you frown all the time? I don't know, I'm just thinking. It's hard stuff. So if you ask me a question, I turn around and look like I'm going to jump off the stage. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just me. Just make some marks. This is my palette. So I make marks, and I usually just make little marks. The one thing I'm going to do is deal with this rain coming down. And so I'll be able to get unequal distribution of shape and scale that way. So I always have to keep in mind the variety that I'm looking for and try to pay attention to that. Across the A canvas and decide where I want to go with the values. It's not about finishing anything. It's about just coming up with an idea. And you got to try to be comfortable with what decisions you make, and then play within that system that you just decided. So then you get to hope you can trust yourself. That's what painting is. A lot of what we do is we fail. And the thing that people don't see is the number of things that you fail at to make it look like you had fun. It's a lot of work to make it look like you had fun, to be honest with you. But at the end, I want it to be disguised. I want it to feel like when you get up to it, it's an abstraction of sorts, but when you back up, it all falls together. And it's just it's an important part to have both of those to me. So I spend time adding wax to my paint, like cold wax and things like that. Anything I can do to add variety to the surface and build up. But I won't have time for that. And I will stop on occasion and try to take some more questions, okay? Is that good? Yes. And I've got this crazy piece of music that goes up and down. And it's a little bit but it's one of my favorites. And there's moody, so it'll get me in the mood. So that's typically what I do with music, is try to pick what I like for whatever I'm working on. So do we have any questions before I get started? I know there's a lot of questions about the palette. I know there's a lot of questions about what I'm going to paint, and I already told you I don't know. So I think I got an idea. Any questions before I start? Yeah.
What type of paint is that? What's the brand name of the paint?
Oh, it's Vasari paint. It's Vasari, V-A-S.
You ready for that?
Yeah.
It's the purest pigment that I've ever found. It's a company out of New York.
Is it oil?
It's great paint. Are you going to pay for it? Might have, but it's a real, it's tinting strength. Yeah. You want to get the music here? I'm going to get started on this thing. I pace around, so if I go off this, it might be done early. There's no telling what because I'm usually walking in circles when I'm painting. So. Difficult to maintain it because I've got to deal with the edges and you go into this real heavy mass to the light, and that's the objective. So there's an old saying, anybody can paint a good value mass or two. It's the juncture is the thing that requires how these all meet. And so I'm going to spend time trying to merge everything. It's not about it's not a paint by number. Once you put it in, you've got to start dealing with the edges to make it believable. I recently turned on to one of these guys. You know who? And it's a knockdown knife. I spend more time in the hardware stores anymore. But Diesel, it'll help me get some edges that I typically can't get with the brush. I've used my hands, sometimes my nose, anything that'll work. But you have to try things. You have to do stuff that will work with the edges and decide how you want to orchestrate your eye, where I want to take you, and how fast I want to get you there. So you're going to see a lot of me. It doesn't look like I'm doing much, but I'm actually going to be trying to manipulate the edges a lot. Okay. All right, thank you.
Scott, are you painting from a reference?
No. Not yet. Yeah. Making this up. Get a lot of questions about the mark making thing and when I'm making a decision and what to paint, things like that. These are the kind of things I'll do in a notebook. Very, very vague, very simple, but they're to the point for me. They help me know where I want to go with it, maybe, and then I'll say I'll adjust it as per this. Make a lot of notes. So there's a painting in the exhibition that is of some aspen trees and in the snow. And this was the value structure that I put it into. So I've got 3 values, which is how light or dark they are, right? Within the temperature shifts that I'm making. And so this is one painting. This happens to be a different painting that I was working on. Some of the paintings look like little, they're just like 5 to 10 minute things. And they're just ideas for me. They're nothing that's, they're never finished usually. I don't try to. But you can see that, you know, that's where I sort of start. So I'm trying to just get ideas. And
What do you use?
I use oil paint. I use oil paint right on the board, paper, yeah. It's a certain kind of paper. If you're interested, just get on, you'd have to call, go to Jessica. Yeah. Jessica works for me. And if you get on the website and you ask her, she'll tell you where you get the paper and things like that. She's been trying to get me to do that, but I just
Because it looked very detailed and I didn't know.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No, they're just marks.
Okay.
Most of them, but they, you know, if you get the marks in the right place, you make them the right shape and the right edge and everything, and it just is just right sometimes. But it never works out that way.
Okay. Just from here.
Some are bigger ideas. I start just trying to understand my waterfall. Say I want to know what edges are happening. So just always study pieces of green, temperature of green. So just studying that stuff.
What kind of paper? They said ask Jessica.
Wow.
Yeah, Jessica knows the name of the paper. I don't remember right now, but I buy it at 12 by 12 inches and I have it cut in half. And then I have them bind it for me.
Scott, did you do those studies on the spot or?
Yeah, it's on the back of my tailgate. I'll paint sometimes a painting, but most of the time I'm just trying to get the idea. So what's important to me is I can change everything from this. I can say, well, it's warmer than this or cooler than that, lighter than this or darker than that. And then I'll have my information at least. So it doesn't have to be good. It just can be your idea, trying to get it through. There's a big field of grass, right? And it's all color starting. And it's just coloring marks on here for me. They're just notes. And if I do this, then when I do that chart thing I showed you, then I'll have a direction that I want to go. And I can see it more clearly. But these are, I spend a lot more time doing these than I used to. A lot of them are even rougher than that. They're more like this. I'm just trying to understand the patterns and shapes and things like that.
So when you take your colors off of your back, do you pre-mix them on your palette?
Well, yeah. When I'm going to start a painting, especially something this size, I'll get enough paint that I'm not going to be remixing everything. I'll adjust everything, and sometimes I won't even use some, and I'll move to the next one. But I don't want to. I want to spend time up here now, rather than down here trying to find it. I'm trying to find my idea first, get my palette set up.
So then you take that palette and transfer it.
Yeah, right. Or I'll say it's warmer than this or cooler than that. This is looking out my window one evening, and this ended up to be a 96-inch painting, but the idea though has to start from where's the concept and where's your light and how do you want to manage it. So there's a lot of questions and answers before I'll ever get to it. There's a bunch of this of a green. It's a creek in the Darby Creek near me, and it's just a bunch of chaos, rocks and leaves and trees and all that stuff. But yeah, this is a whole different painting than this one. This was so right in here, I just noticed that I wrote the sky. This is the sky color, and then the one right below it is the snow and shadow. So it's the same value. I want to make sure I have the same value and change the color. And the same happened with, it looks like I've got the one at the gallery. It looks like the light, these oranges, and the gray right here, the warm trees are the same value as the shadow and the snow. So those kind of things, I'll remember that because I want to limit my values to about 3 to 4 values max. And then that's presupposing it. I know it's getting kind of technical. Who wants to hear the technical stuff?
Me. I'm a little freak. I'm sorry.
But if it makes any sense, then it's not any different than you're just establishing your range. You know, it's like, have you ever heard Billie Jean? Monica Jackson, Billie Jean. most of you guys probably know who the Civil Wars are.
Yes,
Have you ever heard him sing Billie Jean?
yes,
Completely different key.
right.
Whole different sounds of the music. And it's just a completely different thing, but all because it changed the key. So that's all I'm doing here is I'm searching for my key. How light or dark do I want it? How warm or cool do I want it? How much do I want to exaggerate the color? Do I want to modify it, make it very monotone and dark and moody and stuff like that? Anyhow, a lot of thought goes into these things, but it's the way you manage it, and then you try to still stick with your intent. Because if you start changing it all the time, it'll just show. It's like me talking. It doesn't work. Gorecki Symphony No. 3. We're listening to Gorecki. I don't quote me on this, but I think it's Gorycki or something like that. And it's my favorite of his, but. So when I'm outside and I'm looking at a place like this and I'm painting, I catch these lights for something. These I'll sit there and watch this thing happen instead of just painting. I've done 2,000 paintings, probably outdoors in my life somewhere in there. But it's not about always just painting. It's about seeing it well. And so I'll take these marks and I'll look at what's happening out there, and I'm trying to get the temperatures and the values right on. How light or dark do I want it? And then get the temperature of it. Is it warm or cool? And in that greenish kind of color, as it go warm, does it get browner as it goes toward the big turn, toward the darks? For instance, like in here, once in a while, what I've observed is this will take on a little bit of the ground. So I'm going to put a little bit of this ground color and value up in here. But I'm going to make it just a little bit on the warmer side as it turns. So this is the same value as this right here. And I'm going to introduce some of this to make it just mirror color up there. And it also bounces up underneath those clouds. And this is where it gets warm before it gets cool. It heats up right on that edge. And then it turns another strange color right up there. So you kind of make these marks and just put them down on a piece of paper. I have this full notebook I make marks in. And by the time I'm done, I have some sort of an idea where I want to go. Now it's just a matter of trying them and see if I can get the combination of things to work or not. And then it's about managing your paint. One time I was in a class and I remembered there were 20 people in the class and I had a lawyer in there who knew everything there was to know. And it was so funny because he said, well, if we had those colors and those values, we could paint that too, you know? I said, okay, well, let's do that. So I helped everybody get all the colors and values just the way I had them. And the whole point is it's not right or wrong, it's how you manage them. So everybody had the exact same composition, exact same palette, the colors and values that were established to start painting, and then how they painted them looked like 20 completely different paintings. It's how you manage it. So it's how this thing could turn out a whole lot different if I just manage it differently. So it's not that I'm necessarily making bad decisions up here, I might just be making them up there. So my merging I might be over merging them sometimes to get the separation. But I've got to get enough of a soft edge to go from these masses into this light. And then I've got to get some more form back inside of that so that I keep establishing form. So you kind of get it and then you lose it, you get it and you lose it. So you're playing a little game of how close can you get without really going bad. You're only a half a step away from disaster. It always feels like that about, you can get a painting going and all of a sudden you just go, okay, that's going. One of the main things I'll do is I'll use a mirror now. I'm always looking in the mirror before I make decisions because it flips the image for me. I see it at a distance and I can see where big problems are. Even standing over here, I see problems that I didn't see when I was standing over there. So that's why I pace a lot and I walk around. And then when I look at it, it's kind of like, show yourself. So you have to not be too. You have to be very insistent upon not being afraid to lose anything. it takes a lot of, you gotta try to push it. They say there's good paintings always go through an ugly stage. So you gotta push that edge and see where that's at. And you don't have to, but it's not as, it's definitely safer. You don't push that, but where I find the most things the best things I've found have been a lot of work to them. And I wouldn't have gotten there had I not pushed through that. That doesn't mean I, enjoy suffering, but but it's part of the process of painting. You have to do that, and I've gotten really more comfortable with being uncomfortable. But I realize that that's just the process that we're in, and so that being said, I just made every excuse I could for how comfortable. But anyway, I'm gonna keep at it. Yeah.
So I wanted to learn a little bit about about how to critique. Like, for example, you take this painting at this stage right now. Just a couple of things. Can you tell us just a couple of things in your mind that you want to change or improve on?
That I want to change?
Yeah, or improve on.
I'm trying to get the relationships down first so that I can see what's happening. And then I'm going to start manipulating the shapes and the edges again, and then try to decide how dark I can get this. If I get too dark, I'm just spending all my time trying to lighten it. But I'm trying to get it that eerie color that I haven't found yet. I'm a little nervous about using phthalo green, but I'm about ready to dive into that. And so phthalo green is such an intense color, but it's going to really shift everything if I do it. It can go too cold. So I have to then put a real warm with it.
What mediums do you use?
If I were going to put another layer on?
Yeah,
I'll put
fat layer.
I'll put a real thin coat of Neo McGilt before I start painting again.
Okay.
It's just it gets the value back because it's starting to dry flat right now.
And it's also that egg. What did you say? A thin layer of what? Neo McGilt.
It's called Neo McGilt.
Like liquid?
And I can't. It's lighter than liquid. It doesn't darken as much. It doesn't get, by the time you get a liquid bottle a year old, it's going to look brown. And this doesn't quite change that temperature quite much. Just a preference of mine. Now, once in a while I get to this point, I'll start adding a lot of heavy paint and doing the same thing. I'll remix my whole palette and start to work it again. So I don't have a best way of doing anything. I just kind of work the whole, see if I can manage it. Unfortunately, what you're going to be watching is a lot of edge work, so you don't know what's kind of, I'm thinking I need it softer, I need to change the temperature, warmer, cooler, and seeing how much the painting can bear. They say a painting's never finished, it's only abandoned. So you gotta decide when you're gonna jump ship. So to be honest with you, I work over a lot of these paintings many, many times. I don't work over them once. I cover it like maybe a couple, but then I'll work over it again and repaint it and work over it again and repaint it to try to get the varieties that I want. Some of my favorite painters in history, I just like the layering and the way that they do it. Emil Carlson is one of my favorite stuff. I just got done with I don't even know where I'm going. I shouldn't talk a little.
Favorite painters.
Emil Carlson. That's right. Yeah, I remember that guy. It is hard to talk to paint. And when I come back after I've been working in the studio, and I come in and have dinner, or somebody calls me on the phone, or I have no idea what is happening. I have no idea what we're talking about, and I can't add 2 + 2. I can't do anything like that. I can't put a sentence together most of the time. So it's fascinating how it takes you away for hours. And in some ways good, in some ways you just can't believe how bad it is. It's amazing the next day when you get up and you think you might have had something working, and you look at it and somebody came in and just tore it up that night. And I don't know who it is, but he keeps showing up in my room. He's kind of pretty bad sometimes. It's pretty bad. It's part of the. I think you got to be pretty self-critical to want to paint. You don't have to be. I just think to get better, you have to push those limits a little more and try it. So you're going to see me now probably. Now that I've got some things up here, so far I've been playing it safe, I think, and now I'm gonna cut loose on it a little bit more and see what's going to happen or not. Because I'm not. I can just feel myself getting too careful with it. And it doesn't make me feel happy with the direction at all. So, you got to get a little uncomfortable to do some of these things. So this is going to be a nasty cloud, I hope, at some point.
Hey, Scott?
Yep.
Would this be a good time for people to get up and have to go to the restroom?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's take a 10-minute break or something.
And if y'all don't clean out there,
The last 10% of the painting is what takes the most time. You're pushing and pulling things, deciding what you want to do with it, how much is enough, how much you can orchestrate, or you want your eye to go. I don't like this. I don't like the shapes in some of these, and so I'll have to reshape them. But the whole point is you're orchestrating the whole time. Once you get it in, I get it down soft edges to move you. I want you to follow this circle, but I want to get you back into this light too. I want you to follow this, and then this takes you back up. And if I had just a little bit of falling edge here from some possible rain or whatever it be, your eye will pick back up and go around this. But I want to make this side the same as that one, and I want to create a little more weight right up in one spot up there, and possibly take a dark at the bottom here for balance. But anyway, that's what we had for today. Thanks for showing up, you guys.